Hello and welcome to another flow on my YouTube channel. My name is Melissa and we're going to go through a Vinyasa flow today. We're going to focus on the hips and the core. We're going to do some really nice twists. So this is a great flow to do, especially in the morning, but you can also do it in the afternoon or the evening, any time of day. We're really going to get the whole body flowing. So let's start just in a comfortable seated position on the mat. So just come to a cross-legged seat or a kneeling position, or you can extend the legs all the way out. And we'll just take a really nice shoulder roll to begin. So just roll the shoulders up to the ears, back and down. And then find that lift and length into the spine from the sit bones all the way through to the crown of the head, and feel that length and space between each vertebrae. And just start to soften and close off the eyes. Bringing yourself into the present moment. Noticing how the body is feeling today. Notice how the mind is feeling. Then start to notice the breath. Just start to notice the breath just as it naturally is. So we're not changing anything just yet, we're just noticing maybe where in the body you naturally breathe, how the breath is today. Is it shallow? Is it deep? Maybe noticing how the clothes feel on the skin. Maybe any movements behind the eyelids, any shapes, any colours. Allowing the whole body to relax here as well. So we're keeping this upright position through the spine. We're focusing on the breath, but we're calming the whole body, the nervous system. It's taking a moment to feel grounded. Maybe this is the first thing that you are doing today, arriving onto your mat. Maybe you've done a few things before you've arrived onto your mat today. Just wherever you are, just finding that grounding. Starting to deepen the breath, so taking a few bigger inhales and bigger exhales in through the nose and out through the nose. A deep inhale, big exhale. So allowing the breath to now become audible, so we can start to really hear the sound of our breathing. So our breath almost sounds like a whisper or an oceanic sound, really calming for the kidneys, the nervous system. And taking one last deep breath in, one last deep breath out. And then slowly, slowly just opening through the eyes. And just start to walk the fingertips out in front of you. Inhale, find lift and length into the spine. Exhale, folding inwards. Just allow the fold to just be quite not so deep here. So we're just opening, relaxing the head, maybe rounding a little bit into the spine, allowing the chest to move down towards the mat. Breathing in and breathing out. And 2 more breaths. 1 last breath. And slowly, slowly just peeling yourself all the way up to a seated position. We'll interlace the fingers and place the fingers behind the back of the head and just curve and round into the upper back. So imagining here that we're hugging a big beach ball and allowing the elbows to drop down towards the mat beneath you. And we're just breathing more space into the upper back. One last breath. On your next inhale, coming back to seated. And as you exhale, take the right hand over towards the left knee and the left fingertips move back behind you. Inhale, find length into the spine. Exhale, find a twist and the gaze just goes over towards the left shoulder. And 2 more breaths. Just starting to get into the spine, so we're not forcing anything in this twist, we're just starting to just find that subtle movement from the center line of the body. And slowly come back to center. We'll go for our twist on the opposite side. Left hand comes onto the right knee. Right fingertips back behind you. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, finding that twist. Rooting down through the hips, rising upwards through the crown of the head, and then twisting and bringing everything out from the center. 2 more breaths. Inhale, find more length. Exhale, find maybe a slight deeper twist. Only if it feels good. We're not forcing anything, just starting to get into the body. And then slowly come back to center. From here, just switch the cross of the legs. So the other foot is in front, and this might feel a little bit strange. This is probably not how you normally sit. But start to walk the fingertips out in front of you. Inhale, lift through the chest. Exhale, fold forwards again. We're not going too deep into this forward fold. We're just noticing and starting to get into the shoulders, the back, releasing the side body, relaxing the neck, and breathing. Remember, the breath is the most important part of yoga, so we're really tapping into the inhales and the exhales. One last breath. And slowly just come back up to a seated position again. We'll just interlace the fingers behind the back of the head, just curve and round into the spine. Breathing here. Big inhales. Big exhales. And maybe you notice that you can go slightly deeper with this curve. This is our second time that we're visiting this pose, so just noticing how the body feels now. On your next inhale, slowly rising all the way up to center. Left hand comes over towards the right knee, right fingertips back behind you. Inhale, find length. Exhale, find a twist. Slowly just starting to work through the body. Using the breath to sustain the posture. One last in-breath. One last exhale. Slowly unraveling the twist, we'll go for the opposite side. Right hand comes over towards the left knee. Left fingertips back behind you. Inhale, find length. Exhale, find that twist. And again, this is our second time that we have visited this pose, so maybe you notice you could twist slightly deeper around the spine, widening and spreading through the collarbones, spreading through the shoulder blades, and moving that left shoulder back. One last in-breath. Exhale, slowly releasing. We'll place the hands at the top of the mat, and we'll come to a kneeling, all fours position. And we'll just sort of sway the hips a little bit from side to side, so we're opening up the side body, starting to get into the core. Maybe again, just relaxing the head, and we're preparing for our cat and our cow. So slowly come back to a neutral spine position. Inhale, start to lift all the way upwards through the chest. The heart shines forwards. Tailbone lifts high, and don't collapse into the lower belly. Keep the lower belly lifted. Exhale, curving and rounding everything into center. Inhale, start to lift through the chest. Exhale, curve and round into the spine. Let's go for 3 more rounds. Inhale, start to lift the chest, and feel free to listen to your body here. So if you want to go for more belly circles, if you want to shift forwards, if you want to shift back, anything that's calling you, or you can stay with these super simple, really nice, juicy postures of cat and cow. And one of my favourites, they always come up in my classes. Using the breath. And then slowly just come back to a neutral spine position, extending the right leg all the way up and back behind you, flexing into the foot, and just see if you can take that right leg off the mat. Evenly spreading the weight through the fingertips, rooting down through that left foot. Inhale. Exhale, rounding knee to nose, hold and hover. Inhale, extending the right leg all the way up and back. We'll do 2 more rounds just like that. Exhale, rounding knee to nose, hold and hover. Inhale, extending the leg all the way up and back. Exhale, rounding knee to nose, hold and hover. And this time, place the right knee down onto the mat. So you can place it in front of the left knee, or you can wrap that right knee over the left knee. So almost in our kind of gumbo calf on the legs, but the right knee is in front of the left. And just see, wherever you are, if you can come up to this position where we're just hovering the chest. Everything is stacked on top of another. It is quite a tricky balancing pose, so really lift upwards through your core. And if you fall out, that's fine. You just come back into it and you smile. If you've got it, hold it for one last breath. You might extend the arms all the way up to the sky. And slowly planting the hands all the way down to the floor. It's not always graceful coming out of that pose. Exhale, rounding right knee to nose, placing the right foot down onto the mat. So you come onto the ball of that back foot and just press the heel back behind you, pressing into the palms. So you get this really nice stretch down the back of the legs, but still engaging through your core. Have a slight scoop of the tailbone under, and that will help you get deeper into that back leg. One last breath. And slowly place the right knee down. Let's go for the other side. Little funky variation of our postures today. Inhale, extending the left leg all the way up and back behind you, holding strong through the upper body, holding strong into the core. Hug those ribs inwards. Inhale. Exhale, rounding knee to nose, hold and hover so you can take the toes off the mat. Inhale, extending the leg backward, heart reaches forwards. Exhale, rounding knee to nose. Inhale, extending the leg all the way up and back, keep breathing. Exhale, rounding knee to nose, hold and hover here. And placing that knee down onto the mat, maybe you just come upwards like this, or take that left knee in front of the right knee, cross the knees in front, and then maybe start to lift all the way upwards through the spine, through the chest, into the core. It's a lot of work for the hips. Maybe the arms reach all the way up to the sky, and if you've got it and you're holding it, just smile and breathe to yourself. If you're wobbling and you're falling out of it, that is absolutely fine. Just breathing and acknowledging whatever is happening for you today in your practice. And slowly and gracefully, again, it's not always graceful, placing both hands down onto the mat. Hug the knee into the chest, unraveling the stretch, and then placing the ball of that left foot down onto the mat. So we're getting this really nice stretch through the calf muscles, into the spine, preparing for our downward facing dog and preparing a little bit more weight onto our palms of our hands. Slowly coming back center, knees plant down, come back to all fours. Tuck the toes under, lift the knees off the mat, and then send the hips up to the sky. First downward facing dog of the day. Feel free to keep those knees bent or start to straighten out through the legs. You might walk the feet slightly further back, and maybe bending one leg, straightening out through the other, shaking the head yes, shaking the head no, swaying the hips from side to side. Big inhale through the nose. Big exhales out, and if you're quite deep into the stretch, maybe you see you can take the toes off the mat. And just allowing the head to move between the forearms. Forearms squeeze together, the shoulders roll away from the ears. So we've got our right elbow is moving towards the left knee. The left elbow is moving towards the right knee, and then simultaneously do that at the same time. Imagine that someone's pressing on your shoulder blades and you're pressing backwards. Lift the hips a little higher. Big breath in. Big breath out. Looking forwards between the hands, we'll step the feet to the front of the mat. Take your feet hips width distance apart. Inhale, find length and space into the spine. Exhale, fold and release. Just relax the head. Relax the gaze. And 2 more rounds. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold, opening through the backs of the legs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, forward, and just hold and hover and hang here in our forward fold, maybe interlacing the fingers around opposite elbows. You might bend one leg, straighten out through the other, maybe bending both knees if you need to, shifting the weight forwards, shifting the weight back. My hamstrings feel really, really tight today, so just noticing if that's you as well. Breathing into it. And each day our body tells us something completely different, offers something completely different to our yoga practice. Slowly extending the arms down to the mat, bending into the knees, and we'll roll up through the spine with vertebrae by vertebrae, stacking. Head is asking to come up, the shoulders drop up, back and down away from the ears, and come to standing in our Tadasana at the front of the mat. So take your toes to touch, heels slightly apart. Inner ankles squeeze together, inner thighs squeeze together. You're lifting up and hugging from the center line of the body, this inner line energy. So we've really got our core connected, so we're connecting into Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, which is our core locks. So navel is drawing inwards towards the spine, but then we're finding this pelvic floor lift upwards. And that moves all the way upwards through the crown of the head into the chest. We're really strong through the torso. Hands move through heart center, the thumbs press against the sternum as you widen and spread the collarbones. The shoulders release. Elbows come wide, lengthening into the back of the neck. Strong and powerful stance here. It's such a simple posture, but there's a lot going on in this pose. Taking a big breath in, big breath out. And then setting a personal intention for your practice today. It might just be something really simple, focusing on the breath. It might be one positive word that you wish to bring to your class today. It might be finding more openness into the tight spaces of the body. Whatever it may be, just take another moment to find your personal intention. And deep breath in, just sealing that personal intention into the heart space. And exhale, let it manifest outwards so it can start to grow even more. And take the arms either side of you and go for a couple rounds in salutation A. Inhale, reaching the arms all the way up, finding some heat in the body. Exhale, folding over the legs. Crown of the head drops down, hips lift high. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, heart reaches forwards. Exhale, planting the hands down, stepping both feet back, high plank. Hold for 5. Crown of the head reaches forward, hips are in line with the heels. Heels reaching back behind you, palms and hands spreading. And then exhale, drop the knees down. Shift the weight slightly forward over the wrist, bending into the elbows and over the chest, all the way down to the mat. Inhale, lift the heart high. Cobra, or you're welcome to go for an upward facing dog, but using more of the muscles of the spine, rather than just letting everything release. Slowly send the hips all the way up and back. Downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. 3 breaths here. Big inhale. Exhale, 1. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 2. 1 last breath. Deep inhale. Exhale, 3. Looking forwards between the hands. We'll step the feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, find length and space into the spine. Exhale, fold and release over the legs. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands through heart center. 1 at full speed. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, folding, releasing over the legs. Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, lengthen Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping both feet back, high plank. Exhale, you can welcome to drop the knees down or shift forwards, lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, rolling over the toes. Maybe so you can lift the thighs and the knees off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. In through the nose, 3 breaths here. Exhale out. 2 more breaths. Again, noticing the sound of your breathing that you're creating, the swirling motion into the back of the throat. And the breath just travels from the palms of the hands all the way up to the hips. And then as you exhale, the breath just travels down the back of the legs into the heels and back into the mat. On the bottom of your next exhale, look forwards between the hands. We'll step or hop feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, reaching the arms up, final round. Exhale, folding over the legs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping or hopping back, high plank. To chaturanga, lower slowly. Inhale, lift the heart, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Exhale out, same 3 breaths, 2 more breaths. Exhale out. 1 last breath, using the breath to really find that stability, that stillness in the mind, steadiness in the pose. And look forwards between the hands. We'll step or hop the feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, find length and space. Exhale, folding and releasing. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands through heart center. Bending into the knees, send the hips down, the heart reaches up, the arms reach all the way up to the sky. We'll come into a chair pose. This is our only chair pose that we're seeing today, so we're really going to hold it for a little bit longer than we normally would do. And I know it's everyone's favorite pose, so we hold it for a little bit longer. So send the hips lower. Believe it or not, the lower you send the hips, the easier the pose gets. Engage into your core. Options to stay in a chair pose or hands move through heart center. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, start to twist towards the right side. You might stay here, just in an upright position. And just notice if the left hip wants to swing out to the side, keep it in line with the right to keep the hips facing forwards. Or you might take left elbow outside of the right knee. Right shoulder lifts up to the sky. Inhale, find space. Exhale, twist. 1 last breath. And slowly releasing the pose. Hands come through heart. Options are straightened legs and come back into chair if you need to. Or exhale, just twist to the other side. Knees and hips square, maybe staying upright or right elbow comes outside of the left knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Beautiful twisty chair pose. Notice the breath, notice the heat and the wobbles that you're creating in the body, and then find the inhales and the exhales. Slowly come back to center. Oh, my legs are burning too. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And exhale. Folding forwards. Take a moment, take a breath here in this forward fold. Inhale, lengthen outwards through the spine. Exhale, planting the hands down, stepping or hopping back, high plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in once you get to your downward facing dog. Big breath out. Inhale, the right leg reaches all the way up to the sky. Exhale, rounding knee to nose. Step the right foot all the way through in between the hands. Stay on the ball of that back foot and inhale, start to reach the chest up off that front thigh, coming into a high lunge. The hips, the shoulders are squaring towards the front. We're bending into the front knee. Hands reach either through heart center or arms reach up to the sky. If you need to have a bend into the back knee as well to scoop the tailbone under so you're not dumping any weight into the lower back, please feel free to do so. 2 more breaths. Maybe the gaze reaches all the way up to the ceiling as you lift the heart a little bit more. Inner line energy, lifting up through the torso. Exhale, spin on the ball of that back foot. The hips and the shoulders turn towards the side. As you reach the arms all the way out, the shoulders relax and release. We're coming into a warrior 2. It's just noticing your stance in this warrior 2. Powerful pose. And making sure the knee is moving open towards the back wall behind you. 1 last breath. Maybe you can go slightly deeper into the pose. And flip the front palm up. Inhale, reach all the way up and back, reversing our warrior. Just relaxing the right fingertips, but lifting it upwards through the right side body, and we're lightly placing the left hand onto the shin. And slowly come back to center. We'll straighten out through the front leg. And maybe we'll shorten your stance if you need to. We're going to go for Utthita Trikonasana triangle pose. Extending through the side body, placing the right fingertips down, the left hand reaches all the way up to the sky. And you're welcome to keep the gaze down to the mat, maybe gaze to the side, maybe gaze all the way up to the ceiling. If you want a little bit more core, just hover the right fingertips off. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gazing down to the mat. Inhale, start to rise all the way up to standing. The hands come onto the hips. We're going to angle our hips and our shoulders towards the front of the mat as we step the left foot off the center line of the mat. And we turn our left toes inwards, heels slightly outwards. We're going for a pyramid pose. It's just coming into this stance position here with the chest lifted. Sweep the arms back behind you. You're welcome to go for more of a interlacing of the opposite elbows. Or if you have the flexibility into the shoulders, you might go for a reverse prayer pose, palms facing together, fingertips pointing upwards. So completely your choice. Inhale, start to lift upwards through the chest. Exhale slowly, using your core. Imagine that someone's drawing your hips backwards as you're reaching your crown of the head and the heart forwards. Slowly. Keeping the spine long. If you need to take the hands onto the hips as well, to find that stability there, please do. And if you're more flexible in the hamstrings and you want to take it slightly deeper, you can take the hands down onto the floor and then come into a forward fold. But we're trying to keep that length and space into the spine. Hold for one last inhale. One last exhale. And from here, bending into the right knee a little bit, slowly coming up halfway. We're going to go for a twisting triangle. Options, you can take your left hand onto the shin, you can take the left hand onto the ankle, maybe the left hand comes down onto the floor. If you need to shorten your stance a little bit, you can do that too. Right hand comes onto the lower back, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, start to twist towards that right leg. Maybe the right arm reaches up to the sky, maybe it just stays on the lower back. Hold and breathe. For 3, and 2, and 1. Gazing down to the mat, bending into the front knee, come onto the ball of that back foot. Placing left hand down, inhale, the right arm reaches up. We're coming into a low lunge twist. So we're still in our twisted body, but this time we've bent into the knee. Option to stay here or option to go for either a hip dip where we roll onto the outer edge of the right foot, outer edge of that left foot so you get deeper into the hips. Option to go for a side plank. You can also go for a modified side plank, taking the left knee down. Maybe the right reaches out to the side or onto the mat. Or full side plank, like I'm doing right now. And because I'm shaking so much, I can't talk. One last breath. Slowly placing both hands down onto the mat. If you're in that lunge, just step back into a plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Once you get to your downward facing dog, take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Maybe out through the mouth. One last time. Exhale out the mouth. Nice. And maybe just take a moment just to reconnect the inhales and the exhales. Straight for the other side. You've got this. Inhale, the left leg reaches high. Exhale, rounding knee to nose. Sneak the foot lightly between the hands. Stay on the ball of that back foot. Inhale, reach through the chest. Hands through heart center. And taking a moment, find your stability. Find your balance here. Maybe the arms reach up to the sky. Maybe again you have that bend into the back knee. One last breath. And then spin on the ball of that back foot. Turn the hips, the shoulders to the side. Extend the arms all the way out, warrior two. Gazes forward softly over the front middle finger. The shoulders are releasing, the shoulder blades are spreading wide. You're using all of the muscles of the underarms to hold the arms up. And if it's too much, you're also welcome to turn palms all the way up to the sky. 2 more breaths. Maybe notice if you can go slightly deeper into the pose. Holding strong. Flip the front palm all the way up to the sky and inhale, reverse your warrior, extending the right arm down the back leg, left arm reaches up and over. Relaxing the fingertips, relaxing the jaw, the face, leaning back. Slowly coming back to center, elbow comes onto the knee. And reach and straighten out through the front leg. Extend the left fingertips down and the right arm reaches up. So we're going for Utthita Trikonasana. So hinging from the front hip, extending as much through the left side body as the right side body. And again, if you hovered the hand off the front shin, then do that here too. For 3, and 2, and 1. Gazing down to the mat. Inhale, start to rise all the way up to standing. The hands come onto the hips. And then we're going to switch our hips and our shoulders to the front of the mat. So turn the shoulders and the hips forwards. Step the right toes off the center line of the mat. Inhale, lift through the chest. Exhale, sweep the arms back behind you. Same option that you did on the other side. That might have been the prayer pose. It might have been the interlacing of the opposite elbows. And exhale, slowly, slowly folding forwards. We're preparing for our twisting triangle, but first we're going into our pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. And any variation that you did on the other side, so if you took the fingertips down, if you just stayed with the hands onto the hips, maybe you stayed with the spine lengthened, just breathing, hips moving back, heart reaching forwards, back of the legs long. And slowly coming up halfway. Right hand comes either onto the calf, maybe you take it onto the ankle, maybe you take the fingertips down onto the floor. Inhale, lengthen. Left hand comes onto the hip, and then slowly start to twist towards that left leg. Left shoulder reaches up to the sky, maybe the arm reaches up. And twisting triangle is not an easy posture. It's just going wherever you need to be in this pose. For 3, and 2, and 1. Gazing down to the mat. Slowly bending into the front knee. Come onto the ball of that back foot. The right hand stays down. And inhale, the left arm reaches up. Feel free to stay here or roll onto the outer edge of the right foot, outer edge of that left foot. Maybe going for that side plank, and we hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Placing both hands down to the floor, step it back. High plank pose, going through your vinyasa. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Let's drop the knees down. Take the toes to touch, send the hips to the heels. We'll come into a child's pose. It's going to be nice. Breathing here. Noticing the breath moving through the whole entire body. So it starts from the rib cage, but then ripples into the limbs, into the fingertips, the toes, into the crown of the head, around the spine. And allow this child's pose to be where we re-energize. So taking some big energizing inhales. but some quite grounding exhales, so we can really allow us to go with the flow, whatever comes our way, for the rest of this practice. And slowly tuck the toes under, send the hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. Let's get into some balancing. Inhale, the right leg reaches all the way up to the sky. Option to stay with that squared hip, or option to open out through the hip, maybe send that leg to the sky. Bend the knee and open out through the hip. Exhale, rounding knee to nose, step the foot all the way through in between the hands. High lunge again. I seem to like these today. Hands through heart center, or arms all the way up to the sky. Hold for a breath, just to find your stability. Exhale, hands move through heart. Inhale, lift through the chest. Exhale, start to twist towards that right leg. And you're welcome to stay upright, or you can take the left elbow outside of the right knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. And take 2 more breaths. Remember, if you have a bind or any other variations of the pose, please feel free to go and do whichever variation you choose today. Slowly unraveling the twist, coming back into that lunge. Bend into the front knee, start to shift the weight forwards, coming into a warrior 3. Holding strong here. And feel free to take the arms back behind you. You can take the arms all the way forwards. Keep the hands at heart center. One last breath, and it doesn't need to be as high in this warrior 3. You can just take the feet an inch off the mat. Bend into the right knee, hug the left knee into the chest. Come to standing, left knee into the chest. And let's go for eagle. So bending into the right knee, take the left knee on top of the right knee. You might just stay here with this kind of variation of eagle. You might double wrap the legs. And we'll take the right arm underneath the left and lift the elbows. Drop the shoulders and breathe. And if you have the perch of the eagle, you can drop the elbows to the knee. And slowly unraveling, extending that left leg all the way out. We'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Place it down. Oh, shake out the legs. And other side. Take a moment into Tadasana. Take a breath, noticing maybe the difference between the right side body and the left side body. Inhale, lift both arms up to the sky. Exhale, folding gracefully over the legs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping both feet back, high plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Remember, you're welcome to skip a vinyasa when you need to. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're nearly there. Second side, inhale, the left leg reaches high. Feel free to keep the leg square, or you can start to open it out through the hip. Extending the leg high, maybe bending the knee. Rounding left knee to nose, step the foot lightly between the hands. Inhale, come up for a high lunge. Hands through heart center or arms reach up to the sky, just take a breath. Hands move through heart. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, twist towards the left leg. Maybe staying here, or right elbow moves outside the left knee. Deep bend into the left knee as you find that deeper twist into the spine. And feel free to take the bind, feel free to take any variation of the pose that suits you. One last breath. Gazing down to the mat. Inhale, unraveling the twist. Hands through heart center, bending into the front knee, back leg gets lighter. And maybe just lift an inch, maybe take it hip high. Hands stay through heart, or arms out to the side, or arms in front of you. Breathing. For 2. And 1. 1. Slowly coming up to standing. Hugging the right knee into the chest. Feel free to toe tap if you need to. Bend into the left knee. Right knee comes on top of the left. Send the hips down, heart lifts up. Maybe double wrap the legs if you have the cross. Maybe taking left arm underneath right, lift the elbows. Drop the shoulders. And sometimes in eagle, when something's happening on top, something's happening on the bottom, we can really find balance in the center. 1 last breath. Slowly releasing the pose, extend the right leg out and hold for 5. Lift the leg a little higher. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Really nice. Let's make it down to the mat. Turn the toes outwards, heels inwards, bending into the knees. Knees move over the same direction as the ankles as you send the hips down. We're going for Malasana. So feel free to stay upright here in your Malasana. Feel free to take the hips all the way down. And sometimes I like to sway a little bit from side to side just to start to get into the hips. Hands through heart. Lift through the chest. And take 2 more breaths. 1 last breath. And slowly placing the hands down onto the mat. And we'll just come to a kneeling position. Just take a moment here. And take a shoulder roll back. And take another shoulder roll back. Take 1 last big shoulder roll back. Just releasing the shoulders, lifting through the chest. And then from here, just swing the legs all the way out in front of you. And go for a Paschimottanasana forward fold. So if you need to sit on a block or if you need to bend the knees a lot to get that lift into the spine, if the back of the legs, the hamstrings feel tight, or if you feel like you're collapsing and rounding into the spine, keep the crown of the head lifting up. And take the hands either side of the legs. Inhale, find length. Exhale, start to walk the fingertips out in front of you, keeping both feet flexed up to the sky. And that's going to really help firm up the front thighs and help to lengthen the back of the legs with greater ease. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Take 2 more breaths here. Just releasing the head. Breathing into the lower back, the middle back, the upper back and the back of the legs. Slowly coming up to seated. Hug the right knee into the chest. Take the right hand back behind you. The left arm reaches all the way up to the sky. Hug the right knee in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. You might stay here just hugging the knee in, or you might take the elbow outside the knee. The gaze just goes over the right shoulder. 1 last inhale. 1 last exhale. Slowly just counter-rotate it to the opposite side. I'm going to give you 2 different options in this next pose. So you can flex into the right foot and take the right ankle onto the left knee. And just kind of maybe just stay upright or go into a forward fold so you get this nice figure 4 stretch into the hip. You're welcome to go for a half Gomukhasana, taking the right knee on top of the left knee and just wiggle around, maybe staying upright here, or exhale, folding forwards. Feel free to go for the full version of the pose, maybe taking the left knee in as well, if that feels good as well. Taking a few more breaths. So we're really starting to wind down our practice now. Making our breaths maybe more of a releasing breath rather than a big oceanic full inhale, full exhale. We're guiding the exhales to be more restorative. The exhales twice as long as the inhales. One last breath. Slowly coming up to seated. Hug both knees into the chest. Shavasana, boat pose. It used to be one of my least favourite postures, but now actually one of my favourites, so it does get easier over time. So just rock up onto the sit bones, maybe just take the feet off, maybe extend the legs 90 degrees, maybe reach the arms all the way out. If you want, you can extend the arms up to the sky, you can reach the legs all the way out, and we'll hold for 5, breathing. Maybe smile to yourself. I read something somewhere recently that if you smile to yourself and it's a false smile, your brain doesn't know that it's false, it detects it as a real smile, so more reasons to smile. One last breath. Exhale, slowly hug the knees into the chest. Extend both legs out. We'll go for Paschimottanasana, forward fold number 2. Inhale, lift through the chest. Exhale, walk the fingertips out. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold. And getting into the hamstrings. Opening up maybe some of the tight spaces into the spine. Should feel really nice. One last breath. And slowly just coming up to seated. Left foot hugs inwards, so sole of the foot plants down. It doesn't matter if the left sit bone needs to lift off. Left fingertips back behind you, right arm reaches all the way up. Exhale, hug the knee into the chest. And take the elbow outside of the knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Marichyasana C. Again, it used to be one of my poses that I really didn't like so much, but now I love it. It's amazing how things change over time. Our body starts to open up. And the postures maybe get a little bit easier, the breath gets a little lighter. You feel a little lighter through the torso, you feel stronger. Yoga is amazing. And slowly just releasing the pose, counter rotate to the opposite side, placing the hands onto the floor, relax the head. And go for any variation that you did on the other side, so it might be using the ankle onto the knee. And maybe just staying here, maybe pressing that left hand onto the thigh, getting that hip stretch. You might have gone for that half Gomukhasana pose, left knee on top of the right knee, just coming forwards, or the full posture, bending in that right knee. Holding and breathing wherever you are, whichever variation of the pose that you need to be in. Two more breaths. Slowly just come up to seated. And hug the knees into the chest. Place the soles of the feet down onto the floor, sending the hips towards the heels. And we're just going to make our way all the way down onto our backs. So slowly extending both arms all the way out in front of you. We'll curve and round and roll all the way down vertebrae by vertebrae, and just notice everything moving super, super slowly in your own time. Lower back, middle back, upper back. Hug both knees into the chest once you get there. And placing the soles of the feet down onto the floor. And placing the hands down onto the mat. We're going to take one long, nice, juicy, heart-opening pose. So you're welcome to take a block underneath your sacrum. If you want more of a restorative heart opener, we're going to go for a bridge pose. Placing the feet down, Tuck the tailbone under, scoot the tailbone towards you, lift the lower back, then the middle back, and then the upper back. Everything peels off the mat. And you might keep the hands onto the floor, you might interlace the fingers back behind you, rocking even further up onto the shoulders. Breathing. Breathing more space into the heart center. In the front of the heart is where we project out love and kindness, and the back of the heart is where we receive love. So we want to try and create balance between the two of these things. 2 more breaths. Slowly lowering all the way down to the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae. Let's take a happy baby pose, flexing into the feet, the knees move into the outer upper arms, swaying a little bit from side to side. If you're living in more of an open body, you might take your 2 peace fingers around the big toes, extending the legs all the way out. And let's take the soles of the feet together. Take the hands onto the feet and see if you can keep the whole spine imprinted down onto the mat. But you just draw the feet closer towards the lower back, closer towards the belly. So we're in this sort of Baddha Konasana variation, but we're lying on our backs. Knees hug into the chest. And then extending the right leg out, extending the left leg out. Coming to our final resting pose, and you're welcome to take a Supta Baddha Konasana if you want to open through the hips even more, soles of the feet together, knees out wide, or just extend the legs. If the back feels a little crunchy, maybe taking the feet as wide as the mat, knock the knees together, whatever feels best for you. Take a big breath in through the nose. Make this the biggest breath of your day today. And exhale all the air out through the mouth. 2 more just like that. Big inhale through the nose. And exhale all the air out through the mouth. Last breath in through the nose. Out through the mouth. And settling into our final Shavasana. Letting go, letting go, letting go. And all that hard work that you did on your mat today, here is where we can really take the time out and soak up our yoga practice. The really good parts that we found tricky maybe the postures that we fell out of, maybe the postures that we found really hard to hold. Just let it go. You spent some time on your mat, and that in itself is the best thing that you could have done for yourself today. Showing up onto your mat, being completely present, moving with the breath, creating some space in the body, but creating that space in the mind. So just give yourself some gratitude for the time that you spent on your mats today. I will leave you here in this Shavasana just for a few more short moments of ease and relaxation. If you have the time, feel free to stay in this Shavasana for a little bit longer, however long you need. If you're ready to move, just start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. And on your next inhale, draw the legs together, extend the arms up to the sky. Big stretch, maybe a little yawn. And then just draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a squeeze, a little rock from side to side. And just rolling all the way over to one side. Breathing here in this place of security, this rebirth, surrender. And slowly just come up to a comfortable seated position on the mat. And keeping your eyes closed if you can. Hands draw through heart center. Bowing chin to chest in deep gratitude for your yoga practice today, for spending some time on your mat, for taking some time out for you, for sharing your energy and your presence. I bow deeply to you all. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I really hope you enjoyed that nice juicy flow, getting into the hips and the core and finding some nice twists. Hopefully we have a lot more space into the body. Please let me know how you got on in the comments below, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.